Well, total spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, we're gonna cut all that out.
Top 10
Welcome in to Top 10. We're just a small mom and pop video shop, but you're sure to find something to watch on a Friday night. I'm Roby, and next to me is the only person I'd want to go through a volcanic eruption with, my main squeeze, Holly Pop.
Oh, give my heart tremors with that.
This show is all about revisiting the years I worked at a little video store called Top 10 Video. And each month we take a trip back in time to when VHS tapes were flying off the shelves every weekend. Our journey has taken us to September 27th, 1997. And these were the top video rentals that week. Unless, of course, you had anything to say. No, you don't. You're yawning. You're like, I can't wait to talk about the top video rentals from September 27th, 1997. I'm not going to ask you what you were doing then, because I already know.
Wait. No, you don't know what I was doing. What?
You were in college.
No, but what month was it?
September 27th, 1997.
September 27th, 1990. I think I had an ingrown toenail that day.
That month?
On September 27th.
That specific day?
Yes, that specific day. I distinctly recall.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was doing in September. I know I was in college. I was probably waiting for Thanksgiving break. That's what I did in September.
School just started.
I know, but I was already looking forward to Thanksgiving break in September, I'm pretty sure, because, yeah, that's what I did when I was in college. These were the top 10 video rentals on September 27th, 1997. Before we get to number 10, I want to give a shout out to this amazing David Lynch film that peaked at number 22 on the charts this week. And it was Lost Highway, starring Bill Pullman, Patricia Arquette, Balthazar Getty, amongst others. You and I actually watched this film.
It was a really good movie. It was really deep. You had to think about it. I like movies you have to think about, and you really had to think about this one.
Was it last year? Was it last year we watched it? I think it was.
Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah. I had not seen it in a while when I watched it with you, and I had forgotten how much nudity was in it, how much it's very, I guess the word you would call, the word you would use would be erotic, but in almost a disturbing way. So disturbing and erotic. The first time I saw it, I didn't get it, and I had to watch it again. And I just think now that it's one of his best films. And after Mulholland Drive, this may be my favorite David Lynch film.
Yeah.
Incredible, dark, surreal trip. And he's one of my favorite directors, and you know this. But I would recommend, if anyone has not seen it and is a fan of David Lynch, to check it out. And even if you're not, check it out, and then you'll think I'm a weirdo because...
Well, I would like to say that you introduced me to David Lynch. Like, the only movie I think I'd ever seen by David Lynch was The Elephant Man. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't even think about directors or anything. I'm just like, oh, that's a good movie. That's not a good movie. But you introduced me to him, and I have to say, he definitely thinks outside of the box. You know, you're going to get something original, something that's not formulaic, and something that you really need to think about.
Yeah.
And that is something that you don't get a lot of. And yeah, I'm glad that you've exposed me to him, because I feel like I've grown culturally and artistically from watching a lot of his movies.
Yeah, and this is one of those that I felt kind of slipped through the cracks. I mean, people always talk about Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, even Mulholland Drive to some extent. Yeah, Lost Highway I feel always gets left out of the discussion, and it is it's a good one. It's a good one.
It is. It really is.
So, yeah.
In fact, I wouldn't mind watching it again.
Well, we may. Although this is the highest it ever gets on the charts at number 22. which is kind of sad because,
I would have given this movie a 9 or a 10
yeah.
if we had ranked this movie in our rankings because it is an amazing movie.
Getting to the actual top 10 list here, number 10 was Rosewood. Ving Rhames and John Voight star in this retelling of the 1923 Rosewood Massacre that happened in Florida, and it was directed by John Singleton. Are you familiar with this movie?
I am not, but now I'm curious about it. The
Yeah.
Rosewood Massacre, do you know what that was? Was it like
Yes. Well, it was a bit of an issue between a town called Rosewood, which is primarily black, and some white individuals who had some issues. The problem with this movie, it was kind of deep, and it went into racial issues, and it was a flop at the box office. And this, I want to say, this may have been the highest that it got on the charts for home rental. And so I remember we had a few copies at Top 10 Video, and it rented quite a bit. It got good critic ratings, but the audience didn't go to see it. And I saw it. It's a good movie. It does, however, when you read the actual historical account, it does embellish the history a bit. And I mean, most movies do that. But what they did here is they added a complete fictional character in Ving Rhames' character, and he basically shows up before the events happened and sort of gets the town people ready to be attacked. So it kind of turns into an action movie. I do remember enjoying it. It was a good movie. Number 9, not his first rodeo. Eddie Murphy in Metro. We didn't have much to say about it last month.
because I haven't seen it. So I don't...
And yeah, because neither one of us remember it, and it's dropped on the charts here. This is its last week on the charts, and this is Howard Stern's Private Parts. Again, neither
We
one of
talked
us
about
is
it a little bit
a
last
big
week.
fan of Howard Stern here,
Yeah.
but he's still on the charts a month later. It's kind of crazy how some of these movies would hang around on the charts for months at a time. And this is its second month on the charts, because you got to realize these charts would come out every week, and so basically September 27th is reading the week before's rentals. So I try to do like the middle of the month for every episode that we do. So usually you want to do the week after to get the middle week of the month. And yeah, he was right smack dab in the middle last month, and he's still here with his parts a swaying. Number 7. Speaking of being on the charts for quite some time, this is the third month that Scream is here. It's starting to drop a little bit lower. Number 7, revitalizing the slasher. And next month, it's going to have quite the uptick because it'll be October, and it's spooky season. This chart we're going through quickly because this chart is a lot of the same movies which just kind of hung around for several months. Number 6, Absolute Power, Clint Eastwood, still hanging around.
Still looks like Abraham Lincoln there.
Still looks like Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Kind of interesting, this movie about murderous shenanigans that may or may not have involved the President of the United States, in the same vein as Absolute Power, was new on the charts, number 5. Number 5 is Murder at 1600. Have you seen this?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we got Wesley Snipes. We've got Diane Lane. And this thriller about a murder that occurs in the Oval Office. And it's kind of interesting that both of these deal with crimes occurring within the U.S. president's inner circle. They were both released in theaters at similar times. Clint Eastwood actually convinced Warner Brothers to release Absolute Power first because he knew Murder at 1600 was getting good. It was getting early screenings. It was getting good early word of mouth, and so he wanted his movie to get the jump on it because people were going to just think whichever movie came out second was going to be the copycat. And sure enough, Absolute Power was a pretty decent hit for Eastwood, and Murder at 1600 did okay. And there was controversy with Murder at 1600 because there's a scene in the movie where they find a dead body, a secretary dead in the actual Oval Office. It's a model. They rebuilt the Oval Office. Obviously, they were not allowed to go in the real White House to shoot this. And one of the producers was like, that's a little far-fetched, right? I mean, come on. Like, nobody's going to believe that there's a dead body in the Oval Office. And 1997 was the year before the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. And after that happened, that same producer came back to the guy and he was like, hey, not so far-fetched after all.
Well, there wasn't a dead body. It was just,
there was not a dead body, but there was a used condom.
He just got a blowjob
and
in there.
Was...
There's a big difference between a used condom and a freaking dead body.
Well, maybe.
Do you think he was having sex with a dead body?
I don't know what was going on. But the fact that something inappropriate occurred in the Oval Office I think, was the point,
Oh, I'm sure all kinds of inappropriate things happen there.
Oh, I'm sure lots of inappropriate things have happened. Number 4 is Dante's Peak. Dante's Peak. There it is. Okay, it happens at some point. Dante's Peak, starring Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton, James Bond and Sarah Connor versus a volcano. This film had its theatrical release in February of 1997 and was followed in April by another volcano movie called, very originally, Volcano, starring Tommy Lee Jones. I saw both of these, and I much prefer Dante's Peak, which is why it is our Spotlight title of the month. And we will get back to it. But first, number 3. Can you guess?
No.
It was on the charts last month.
Sling
Billy Bob.
Blade.
Billy Bob is back on the chart. Was still on the charts. He never left. With Sling Blade.
Sling Blade.
All the way up at number 3. And then moving up from number 7 in August to number 2 in September, Al Pacino and Johnny Depp in Donnie Brasco, which, again, we have not a whole hell of a lot to say about.
I haven't seen it, so.
We have not seen it.
We will eventually.
Maybe one day. Number 1 on the charts of September 27th.
It had Brad Pitt in it. I know that.
It had Brad Pitt in it. Yes, it did.
Devil's Own.
The Devil's Own, starring a peak middle-aged Harrison Ford and the young superstar Brad Pitt. The plot revolves around Frank McGuire, a soldier in the Provisional Irish Republican Army who comes to the U.S. to do some shady business for the IRA. But his plan is complicated by an Irish-American policeman, Tom O'Meara, played by Harrison Ford, whom the IRA member has come to regard as family. I went to see this at the theater. And it was kind of dry. It was a little, I was expecting, with the star power of Ford and Pitt and Alan J. Pakula, the directing, I was expecting a little bit more. It's a little bit more of a drama than an action film.
I've never been able to get into a movie about the IRA.
Yeah, it's not a thing. And again, it's in the it's set in the United States. But, once, the fact that they're both Irish, but Brad Pitt is sort of a revolutionary Irish person from Ireland, and he's got this a little bit of a shady, let's just say his Irish accent kind of comes in and out throughout the movie. It's not, it's not the most consistent of accents.
It's not the most consistent Irish accent.
No, it was not. This was the final film of director Alan J. Pakula, who died the year after its release. And he directed great ones like Clute, which we watched. All the President's...
Oh, he was still alive to direct this?
Mm-hmm. Well, he's an older man in the 90s. But yeah, Clute was in the 70s with Jane Fonda. She's still alive today.
Well, that's true. But she did all those workouts.
That's true.
And she's missing a rib, so...
She had a couple of legs up on Alan. He also directed All the President's Men, Sophie's Choice. I would say watch this one for the star power of Ford and Pitt, as the storyline is a bit muddled. But back to our spotlight title, which is Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak.
Just a quick summary of the plot. It's set in the fictional town of Dante's Peak. Not a real town. Obviously, they're not going to pick a real town. where the inhabitants fight to survive the eruption of a long-dormant stratovolcano that has suddenly become active again. What is your relationship, Holly Pop, to disaster films?
Well, I was actually, when we watched this, I was like, it's following the same formula as Twister, because Twister came out that year too, and we did a podcast on it. But like,
Twister came out the previous year. It came out in 96.
so like,
And
I was like
so-
saying, okay, like the main character was impacted by a tragedy. The main character feels personal responsibility to prevent that from happening in the future. Of course, the main character falls in love. They both have new technology. Oh, this is Toto about the
Yes.
for the tornado, and this is Spider Legs, the technology for.
What is your relationship with disaster films? Do you like them, or
I actually do. I liked The Impossible, which I cannot get Roby to watch. I like disaster films. I guess I just
so when you were a kid, like The Towering Inferno and
I never saw The Towering
The
Inferno
Poseidon
as a child.
Adventure,
I never watched that as a child.
Earthquake, none of those?
I mean, how old do you think I am? You're like talking about super old
Those
movies.
all came out in the 70s, so I would imagine when
I was
they came
born in
home,
77.
I
though.
realized, but I watched those movies on VHS in the 80s, and because that was, and then they would play on TV.
By then, my parents had seen them, and they wanted to watch something else.
Oh, I see. Okay. Disaster films were always hit or miss for me. But there was something about seeing my James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, because GoldenEye had come out a couple of years before this, teaming up with Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, to survive a huge disaster that I was like, I'm going to see that movie, because her last big movie had been Terminator 2 in the early 90s, and then he had just done GoldenEye, which was a huge hit, and so they sort of, I don't know. I went to the theater on opening weekend to see this, and I thoroughly enjoyed it in 1997.
Yeah, it was a good movie, and that dude went through a lot to get laid.
Pierce Brosnan as Harry Dalton, a volcanologist for the USGS. He even makes the joke because the kids are like, "Isn't that the Star Trek thing?" And he's like, "No, that's different. I don't have the ears." And Linda Hamilton as Rachel Wando, which was a weird last name. I thought, I don't know any Wandos.
Well, you haven't lived.
She is the mayor of Dante's Peak. We got a great cast. Charles Hallahan plays Paul, Dreyfus, Harry's superior. Grant Heslov plays Greg, a member of the USGS, and Heslov would later become a production partner with George Clooney, and they would make a ton of movies together.
Is that the guy that wore all the weird shirts?
Did he wear weird shirts?
There was one guy that had like a penguin shirt, and then he had like a pig shirt, and then he had like a...
He was the guy holding the stuffed warthog when they walked in the bar, because apparently he won it at the carnival or something.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, and all it was a Pumbaa stuffed animal that they painted purple, I think, because they didn't want to get copyright issues. I never noticed it before, but I noticed it this time. Roger Donaldson directed this movie, and he's known for films like Species, which was his movie before this one, Cocktail with Tom Cruise, No Way Out, which is a great thriller with Kevin Costner, The Bounty, a retelling of the classic Mutiny on the Bounty story with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins. He would follow Dante's Peak up with 13 Days, which is probably one of my favorite movies about JFK's and his administration handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Really good movie. If you haven't seen that, I think it'll come up during this podcast because it was on the charts when I was working there. Leslie Boehm is the screenwriter here, and he had another one of his scripts on the charts a few months back, another disaster film. Do you remember?
Was it Twister?
Nope. Later than that. It may have taken place in a tunnel.
Daylight?
Yes, Daylight with Sylvester Stallone. I'm sensing a theme for Leslie Boehm. Dante's Peak got its name from Dante's Inferno. Makes sense, as that work of was it prose or poetry? What would it be? Dante's Inferno.
Prose would be like a novel, whereas poetry is a poem.
Right. So Dante's Inferno would be a poem, right? Isn't it a...
I can look it up right now.
Are we looking it up? It describes it as a trip into hell. It's where we got the different circles of hell, etc., etc.
Yes, it's a poem. You're correct.
Okay, yes, it is a poem. Ding, ding. All right, did you notice where this movie was shot?
Was it shot in Washington?
It
Like
was
near...
not. It was. That's where they wanted us to think it was, but it was actually shot in Wallace, Idaho. Believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the crater scenes, though, when they go up to the lip of the volcano and the helicopters flying around the top of it, that was actually at Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens. I can say it. The actors were actually composited in a couple of shots to make it look like they were on the mountain. I thought those were at the theater when I went to see the movie. I was very like those. I was like, well, damn, where did they shoot this? This is really cool, There were two composers for the movie. James Newton Howard was hired to write the score, but he was super busy and he didn't have time, so he was able to write like a theme, the main theme of the movie, and then he kind of tossed it off to John Frizzell, and Frizzell wrote the rest of the score. So what did you think of this movie, Holly? You already said that it was basically a play-by-play of Twister, but...
It was better than Twister, though. I thought it was better than Twister. There were some lame parts, but...
Of course. All these movies will have some lame parts, especially when it's PG-13 and they're trying to make a family film, but they're also trying to scare the shit out of you.
There's like some little details in it, like at the beginning, kind of like trying to establish the peacefulness of the town that I don't think they do much anymore. Like the kids on the rope swing, just swinging into the water and having a good time. I don't even think kids do that kind of stuff anymore.
No, only in movies. Only in movies.
But we did that like when I was a kid. I remember like going to the river and swinging on. But like kids, I don't think kids do that anymore. But like I'm like I really like the details like that they had in this movie.
Yeah. Well, before that though, I guess you would call it the prologue of the film that introduces us to Harry. He's basically in a foreign country. Where was he? In Venezuela somewhere.
Didn't he say Vietnam or something? No, it wasn't Vietnam.
His girlfriend,
I think,
meets a tragic death.
His girlfriend meets a really tragic
Basically, a hot piece of molten rock, like, just goes straight through the passenger side of his vehicle. I remember
God wanted that woman dead. I mean,
that was that the odds of that happening. I mean, obviously, you see these giant chunks falling everywhere, but this tiny little rock, and for a PG-13 movie, that scene is pretty.
That rock wasn't that tiny.
Well, yeah, it was. The hole in the top of the truck was like this. It wasn't, And then we cut to 4 years later to Harry as he's doing push-ups incorrectly. And that's kind of weird because when I first saw this movie, I didn't realize that was incorrect way to do push-ups, because that's how everybody used to do push-ups, with their arms like on their side, like to their side, almost at a 90-degree angle like that. And technically you're not supposed to do it that way because you can damage some muscles doing it that way. You're supposed to go more like in the front like this and push yourself up like that, which is much harder to do. After some strange seismic activity is reported in Dante's Peak, and Dante's Peak has just been named the number 2 best place to live in the United States under 20,000 people. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to throw in as well. Like they're having this big festival, there's a carnival, there's all these guest people from around the country, there's investors there who want to, pump a lot of money into the town. And there's only 7,000 people here. So part of me is like, really? How many 7,000 person towns, get this much attention? But, it is a movie. It's a movie. There's some cool foreshadowing moments in the beginning. The mayor's son has a clubhouse in what appears to be an abandoned mine. And I think...
You didn't have an abandoned mine clubhouse growing up, Dustin?
No, I did not. No. And I also didn't... I mean, I'm not going to say I never swang from a tire swing, but I don't think I ever swung
S-
Swung. I don't think I ever swung on a tire
Swung.
swing into a lake because I never had a lake. All I had was a bayou, and that's no fun.
Yeah, you don't want to
Right into the
go in
gator's
there.
mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, the son has a clubhouse in the old mine, and I like how the old mine, it comes back into play at the movie's climax. I always enjoyed Cluster's Last Stand. It was a great name for a motel. Just, I don't know if I'd stay there, but
This is your last option. So
yes,
you might as well just
it's the only
give
place with
up and
vacancy. It's
come to bed.
Cluster's Last Stand. We
Was
do
it
have a couple of.
It's custers, not clusters.
No, it's clusters.
It said clusters?
Yes. Yeah, that's what's
For
funny
some
about
reason, my mind read it as
You
custers.
read it as custers because that's the correct way to say it. But it's actually clusters.
Interesting.
And I assume that's the guy's last name who owns it. We have a couple of skinny dipping lovers, and they get too hot to handle. Let me tell you. They get cooked, in fact.
They do.
And
I mean, when we went to Hot Springs, it would have been kind of cool for us to have
gotten cooked together.
go to the hot springs. But if I had seen now that I've seen the movie, I don't know if I actually want to do that anymore.
When look, they explained to us what causes the hot springs. It's it's volcanoes. I mean, it's it's the magma underground that is just a little bit too close to the surface, and so it heats the water. Yeah, that's how we get that. I don't know if you picked up on this, but there may be a romance developing between Harry and the mayor, Rachel.
Yeah, I already said that dude went through way too much to get laid.
Well, yeah, because there's the scene pre-volcanic eruption where they clearly want each other, and they're in the kitchen, and they're getting ready to kiss, and of course the daughter comes because she's got 2 kids. The daughter comes down, and she's like, "Mom, I'm thirsty."
And then that's when they actually realize the volcano. Oh, this is really happening.
Shit's getting real. Yes.
Yep. Good thing she
Before
wanted
that,
water.
right? Before that, they go to sort of visit the grandmother.
Oh, that grandma annoyed me. I mean, I felt bad when I was glad that she died. Like she insinuated herself like when they were like, "Oh, we got to go to the lake to do some research and everything." Oh, well, let me get the kids and come with you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like that was annoying.
And look, and I think part of it though, I think she was picking up on a little vibe between Pierce and, you know what I'm saying? I think she was like, I'm not going to let my daughter-in-law go with this man by herself. You know what I'm saying? Because her son, she's not her mother, she's her mother-in-law, and her son basically abandoned Rachel and the kids 7 years ago, and no one's knows where he's at.
And so her, apparently. Like, if nobody knows where he's at.
Yeah. I will say this. My favorite scene, and I think the best scene in the movie, is the boat scene.
The boat scene?
Yeah, the boat scene. Because so the volcano shit starts going down, and the kids, and this is, a lot of people say that this is the stupidest scene in the movie, because they're like, is that kid even tall enough to drive? Can his feet reach the pedals?
That is true.
How is he doing that?
I was thinking that myself.
But he's kind of like 4 foot, right? No? I mean,
yeah, but the way he was sitting, like he was comfortably driving the car. He wasn't like reaching for the pedals and kind of sitting in an awkward way. It was
maybe there were like wooden blocks strapped to his feet.
Because every parent says, you know what? Just on the off chance that my son wants to take my truck, and even though he's not old enough to drive.
Hey, look, there were plenty of wood scraps in that mine that he hangs out in. So I'm thinking he could have gotten some wood scraps and strapped them to his feet, and that's the way he could be driving.
You know, the most ridiculous scene was the truck. Oh, let's drive over this lava bed. So they started driving, and then the tire goes into the lava. Oh, we're stuck in the lava. So tires, I looked it up after the movie. They like melt at like 400 degrees Celsius, and lava is like what, 1100 degrees Celsius or something like that. So like,
well,
they would have been
take a little bit of time.
Not No, it would have been instant because of the lava.
But I'm
It's
just
hot.
saying. I'm just saying that maybe they were, heavy duty tires. Maybe they weren't regular tires.
Well, we need to get those tires for our son so he
Yeah,
doesn't have to get
yeah.
his tire changed in the middle of the night
Just had a
again.
flat tire. No, but that boat scene when they have to escape from the grandmother's house because the kids actually make it to the grandmother's house,
And the grandmother
unbelievably,
doesn't pick up the phone.
and the
Oh, I'm
damn
coming.
grandmother still doesn't want to freaking leave.
She's just as selfish as her son.
She's looking at photos of her and her husband, and the Linda Hamilton says like, we don't have time to go down memory lane right now. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's some of those. Even though we can't stand that character, I do think that those are the things that make the movie kind of interesting. Is that they do stop and take time, even though sometimes it seems a little far fetched, to develop the characters and have them,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they didn't go back for the grandmother, then the movie, they wouldn't have had as much
adventure.
tension.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that boat scene where they realize that the lake has turned to acidic, and it's basically starting to melt the metal of the boat, and they've got their feet up, and the boat is sinking, and Pierce Brosnan wraps his arm in the freaking jacket.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like when his arm disintegrate,
Well, no, it had to make it through
disintegrated
the
the metal, but his jacket
it had to make it through the jacket. Well, you got to realize
was
it's
members
just-
only.
it's a members only jacket, and those motherfuckers last, baby. They do not play around with acid. Look, the grandmother ultimately makes a sacrifice to help pull the boat to the dock. She gets in the water and destroys her legs.
But then she makes Pierce Brosnan carry her.
He's got to carry her for God knows how long, and then
And
of course
she's the one that's tired. I can't do this anymore. Let me not him. She's
Not him.
the one that's tired.
yeah, she says you should probably stop carrying me, and he's like, "Thank God, thank God."
So they just leave grandma.
Yeah. I saw you writing notes when the dog is discovered alive.
Just randomly in a random spot.
Well, not so much randomly. I mean, you got to realize it was just around the lake. It's a lake. It's not so the dog he ran off by the house and he went around the lake is what he ended up doing. And so he meets them on the other side. Yeah. He looked like he had been through
And
some
then the
shit.
music changed. Oh, it's the dog.
Hey, look.
And everybody's happy, even though like there's
You were writing your note, and you didn't even see the amazing shot of that dog jumping into that truck as it drives by. That was a great shot. Because I thought that was going to be ridiculous too, and then when I saw the dog, and I just saw it happen, and I was like, wow, they rescued the freaking dog. And so no animal was harmed in the making of the movie, apparently. Okay, the other scene, the boat scene, and then the other scene that sticks in my mind every time I think about Dante's Peak. The volcano explodes, and a giant, amazing explosion. The whole town gets disintegrated by the pyroclastic cloud. They drive into... What's his name? What's the kid's name? Graham. They drive into Graham's hideout in the old mine.
That's not Graham. Isn't Graham the name of the geologist?
No, Graham is the name of the kid.
Oh, right? Here I am thinking Graham.
Jeremy Foley as Graham Wando, the son of Rachel, and Jamie Renee Smith as Lauren Wando.
What is Pierce Brosnan's character's name?
His name is Harry.
Oh.
Come on, he said his name like 7 times at the beginning. Hi, Harry Dalton. Harry Dalton, volcanologist. USGS. Hi, Harry Dalton. Hi, I'm Harry Dalton.
And she just got hot and heavy. She's like,
and she
he's a
Linda
volcanologist.
Hamilton called him Harry about 70 times in the movie, like, Harry, what are you doing? Harry? But maybe you thought she was talking to the kid. Maybe that's what.
it's getting them mixed up.
No, I'll never forget Harry's bones sticking out of his arm when he goes to turn that and the rocks fall on him, and he clearly a rock hits his arm, and I think of that ulna. I guess it's his ulna, right? Catching the
Well,
light.
if it's
It's just a
close to his pinky, it's his ulna, right? And if it's
it's
close
either
to
the
your thumb, it's your
radius,
radius.
or the ulna, right? I think the ulna is the one that's at the bottom that
I don't know.
connects
We
with your
we
elbow.
clearly don't know much about anatomy.
No, clearly don't.
Anyway, one of those freaking bones was sticking out.
One of
his
those
arm.
bones was sticking out of his arm, and then when he's in the vehicle and the rocks start falling and the roof is collapsing, and he basically just keeps getting pressed down in the smaller and smaller enclosure. And I'm not even claustrophobic, I don't think, but
I'm claustrophobic.
that scene was very unsettling to me the first time I saw the film, and it's still, I think, very effective. I was like, oh,
But he was like that for 2 days because the guy's like, "How long has that been going on?" Oh, it's been going on for 2 days.
yes,
So I'm like, that dude's been sitting in his truck for 2 days.
yes,
And like,
and sitting in his shit for at least one.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they looked relatively clean, and then when they saw each other in the
well,
end.
they had food. They had food. They were in Graham's hideout. So they had. Remember, he said, "I got chips and snacks, and drinks." Like he had shit down there to hang out.
So they had food, but Pierce
they
Brosnan
had
didn't.
food. They probably had a little porta potty, or they went shit in the back of the cave somewhere.
That's true. They had it better than
No. Yeah, he was stuck in the vehicle
Harry.
for 2 days, but
Yeah. Like he
Yeah.
might have had a Snickers in his glove box or something.
maybe I don't think he could reach it though.
Well, not with one of those arms.
Yeah, and then that's another foreshadowing thing with the guy that was kicking the robot at the beginning and kicking the NASA thing, and he's like, "Yeah, that's well, I always kicking everything." And of course, to get the NASA piece of homing beacon thing working, he kicks it repeatedly, and it starts to beep.
I kind of want to go through some parts with you to see like when you would have given up on trying
When I
to
would
have
have given up.
on trying to have sex with this woman, okay?
Oh,
So
okay, all right.
So like, okay, so he comes to the town. He's like, "Oh, well, I find her attractive." She found him attractive, and everything
Yes.
like that. And it's like, okay, she's got kids. All right, I can deal with kids. I can deal with kids. Oh well, let's take the kids to and to grandma's. Okay, I can do that. Okay, let's go with the kids to the lake. Oh, all right, let's do that. You know, but like, it starts getting far fetched when he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go back and save her and the kids." I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. But then when he's like, okay, I just met you, but I'm going to go all the way up this mountain to save the grandmother. Like, where would you have stopped with
to
me?
save the
Like, if it
grandmother,
were me.
to save the grandmother and the kids. No, I think he was a good guy, and I think he actually liked her.
But there's a difference between like and love.
There is.
Like,
So,
he didn't
so
know
you're
her
saying
that
that
well.
if I had just met you for like a week, because you got to realize they were there for a week, and she
Okay.
would go and visit them for a week. So I think that the attraction had been growing, for that time. She was practicing how to say hi to him in her truck, so she liked him a lot. And I think it was reciprocated because every time he
I
saw
do
her,
that.
his
Like,
face,
I practice on how to say hi to you when you get home.
his face lit up. So yeah, I think after a week or two of knowing you, I would have gone up the mountain to rescue your mother
And my dog.
and your kids and your dog. Well, maybe not your dog. I didn't really like that dog, but
Mr. Darcy, though. You like Mr.
oh,
Darcy.
Mr. Darcy, yes, but I mean that's Mr. Darcy. He came much later. Yeah, I think he had feelings for her. I think he was developing feelings for her at the very least.
Lust. It's
I
been
do
a week.
I do like the scene when the kids are super scared, and he's going back and they don't want him to go back to the truck to get the device turned on, the elf device. And he comes back and he tells them that he's going to take them all deep sea fishing.
He's taking them all on a trip. I'm like,
So
dude.
he is like committing, like hardcore. And
I
you think he
know.
just wants to get Sarah Connor into bed.
Yeah.
I think he really likes her. I think he's
Of
thinking,
course he does.
this could be
He
my
really,
future.
really liked her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that you would do that for me
Of course.
if we were ever to
Encounter a volcanic
volcano
eruption
in
in
Louisiana.
Louisiana. What did you think of Dante's Peak overall? This is your first time seeing it.
I thought it was a good movie. It was better than Twister. It was really enjoyable. I was at the edge of my seat, and it really wasn't. It was a fun movie. It really was. I enjoyed it.
It was a fun movie, watching people get boiled alive and
It was better than Pompeii.
break their... Oh, Pompeii was horrible. That's got to be the last volcano movie, right? Was Pompeii?
There's probably been others because
I don't
there's
know.
so many
That
movies
one was
released
so
every day.
bad. It's so bad. Poor
We've
Kit
actually been to
Harington.
Pompeii though.
We have been to Pompeii, and Pompeii is referenced in this movie. When the geologists show up at first, some guy makes a joke and says, "Oh, it looks great. Oh, it's a beautiful scenery." Yeah, that's what they said in Pompeii too.
And it is beautiful in Pompeii.
Yes. I enjoyed this rewatch. Of course, I have plenty of nostalgia tied up in this film. As we said, the movie is full of cheesy moments, but once the volcanic action starts, it's really quite an experience, I think. I think it's like you said, it's a fun movie. There's sadness, but you weren't too sad when the grandmother died.
Sorry, I'm a horrible person.
But I feel like when she does that, because
They can move faster.
I hated her too until she did that and she sacrificed herself to get him to the dock. I think the special effects. This movie is going to be 30 years old. How old is this? 1997 it came out, and we're in 2026. So is that
it's
30
29 years.
Yeah, so it's 29 years old now. I think the effects hold up quite well. There's a couple of shoddy shots with the volcano was not really next to the town because obviously they were in Idaho, trying to make you think they were in Washington. So they added that one mountain there, and some of those scenes, if you look closely, you can tell that the mountain's not really there. But when the town gets destroyed, I mean, all of that shit, the dam bursting. Great model work by the FX crew. I love that there were some old school special effects in this one mixed with, newer computer effects a la Twister. And, I enjoyed it. And yeah, there's some cheesy shit, but...
There were some of the similar effects in Twister too. Like, I know the gas station exploding and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then the power lines. Zzz, zzz.
Yeah, this was definitely a response because of the success of Twister. They started making more disaster films again, and that's how Hollywood always is. You have one successful comic book movie. Well, now we're going to make 1 million comic book movies, and I feel like that's that these volcano movies that came out in '97 were a response to Twister, which came out in '96. So, what are you going to rate Dante's Peak?
I'd give it a 7.5.
7.5 out of 10 for Holly Pop. I am going to go a 7 out of 10. I think that the movie takes a little bit too long to get going. The whole sequence with the guy when they're on the top of the lip of the volcano and the robot isn't working and he has to go down and he starts kicking it and shit, and then of course there's a rock slide and Pierce Brosnan has to save him, and then they get... I don't know. It wasn't interesting enough. Compared to what comes later, it's just get to that shit earlier, in my opinion. Because once the volcano erupts, it's amazing. I think it's a great movie. But that first hour, some of the romantic stuff, and she brings him coffee and all that. That's nice.
I did like that line. I did put that line down that he said. Because every day she was bringing him coffee and he's like, oh, thank you. And then when he says, I don't know how to tell you this, but I never really cared for your coffee.
Yes.
I liked that line.
That was a good line. That was a funny line. It was probably the one joke that worked for both of, because we both, I think, kind of chuckled at that line. Well, that'll wrap it up for another episode of Top 10 Video. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next month with October of 1997. We'll reveal the top 10 videos of the month, and we'll have our spotlight film. See you then, folks. The Top 10 Video podcast is produced by D. Roby and is a part of the Introverse Podcast Network.